cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. It's the Wyatt Independent News Network. Welcome back to the program, folks. This is Colonel Retired Chris Wyatt live in Central Pennsylvania for your daily dose, your daily injection, your daily vax against misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, all coming from the government. How y'all doing out there? How's today going? All right, sounds good. Looks like the voice check's gone pretty well. They're checking the sound check. All right, busy as always, folks. Let's get to it. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat. I'm dropping a new video, which I'm just waiting. Oh, it's done. Okay, publish that. It's called We See You. Sawabona. Actually, I should change that to Sawabona. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to change the title there right now. Sawabona. I spell that. S-A-U, I think. It's Sawabona. S-A-U-B-O-N-A. I just thought about that. Sawabona. It's S-A-W. Okay. S-A-U, S-A-W. I should have thought about there. Spelling it correctly. U-B-O-N-A. So I thought. U. That's perfect title for that. Sawabona. I see you. Anyway, there you go. So let me rename that. That video is up now. You can check it out when you get a chance there, and hopefully it'll do well. Little analysis of what's going on there with Dudu Zuma Samboda. Anyway, so let's see what she's got to say. All right, folks, let me say hello to everybody in the chat, and we'll get into it. Don't forget, today is Wednesdays with the Colonel with Ronaldo Close coming up. Apologies for the late start. It's earlier than we normally do it, but it's later than we do it on Wednesday. But that was because I had to compile that video. I was having a little challenge with some of the footage and also loading it up on YouTube. But it's up now, and hopefully people will watch it. Thanks to everybody who's found the channel recently and watching the program, and for the larger live streams. We appreciate it. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat, and then we'll get started. Eric is in from Cape Town. Charles Van Onselen, the voice of Reason, excuse me. Val Cooper, Pablo Charlie from the Netherlands, PK is in. Welcome to you. Russell Copeland says hello from Joburg. Thank you for being here. And then we've got, well, the chat's a little slow here earlier on. Neville, how's it going today? I'm not on Ramaphosa time. It's when you're a one-man operation and you cover global news and you have a real life. Sometimes the clock runs out. So Val Cooper, welcome to you. I'm not doing the Rama Shuffle. Thank you very much for that. Let's crease the speeches. Don't put you to sleep. Oh, you never fall asleep listening to me. If you do, then you're really knackered. Up at the moment. Tied up. Exactly, Eric. I was tied up at the moment. Thank you very much for that. Blissfully unaware of all the fanfare that goes on because I have certain people blocked, says PK, says Charles. In the meantime, while we wait, I got a tap dripping. What? Oh, my goodness. What's going on there? All right. Okay, so this is all before I get started. Greg is in from Poland. Welcome, Greg. How's it going? Hendo's here. And Dylan Komberg is in. Welcome, Dylan. Richard Kuhn. Lindrea Myberg is back from Langebahn. Ooh, hot. Okay. Well, it's summertime down there. It's wintertime in the Northern Hemisphere. Here in Swaziland, just as hot, says Val. So I'm heading off to the room and switching aircon on. Okay. Garrett Gilligan from Somerset West reporting for duty. Good to see you there, Lieutenant. And who else we got there? Tracy Wolf. Welcome, Tracy. Jan Filionen. Holden Caulfield's back. Richard says, my dearly beloved and cherished wife is in hospital. Spider bite. Oh, my goodness. Emergency operation Monday night. Would be thankful prayers. Oh, folks, please, thoughts and prayers from Mariska, Richard's spouse. So sorry to hear that, Richard. That's horrible. I hope that whatever anti-venom that's necessary they had in stock so that she recovers fully. Spider bite's not good stuff. Some big, nasty spiders in Africa. NWA says, hot in Ashton. Good to see you there. And Smee again is back again. All right, folks. Yeah, so I just, as I said, put a video up. And let me ask the mods to go put that video out for others to find because a lot of people are watching this program right now, so they're not going to be able to find it. Let me see if anybody's tuned in. We'll see if it shows up as an announcement. 8 people have already seen it, so apparently notifications are going out from YouTube. But let me put this into the moderators, and you'll have the link. Save you the trouble. Yeah, anyway, so we'll be live now with this, and then afterwards it's Wednesdays with the Colonel on Ronaldo Host program. And so you may have caught my video from yesterday about Ronaldo. Helen Zilla and JP Smith. If you didn't, go check it out. Lots of videos, lots of production. Before this morning, I had done 48 videos in January, prepared videos, in addition to my daily live streams. 48 in 28 days. Wow. Been busy, busy, busy. And it's paying off. We've gained over 1,200 subscribers in the past week. So it's going pretty well. People are discovering the channel again. Not at the rate that we once upon a time had on YouTube. But hey, I'll take it. And hopefully it keeps going. So yeah, sawabona. And it's funny because I got attacked by leftist trolls on YouTube a few years ago when I first started doing this, about 5 years ago. Oh, he claims to speak all these African languages and all he knows is one word in Zulu. I never claim to speak Zulu. I don't claim to understand it, and I don't claim to speak it. I do know that one word, and that's sawabona. I see you. And that's because that was the name of the in-flight magazine for South African Airways, which I used to fly on a lot. So that's why I know what the word is. Anyway, so I should have thought about that, but I was rushed. But now it's the title. It's in the title now, so hopefully that'll get people's attention and get some folks over there. Also, I've noticed that I'm getting a lot less harassment from YouTube when it comes to monetization. I'm writing things about T groups and about, violence, and I'm identifying it correctly, and there are no restrictions on monetization. It's a wholesale change. Anytime before I mentioned anything with a T in it, I would get attacked, and they would make it, and I put Trump's name in there, and they would just make it, you can't get any advertising revenue off of it. I think they realize that they're losing their ass on money, so they're finally getting it together. I got bitten by a coffin spider. That's scary, Chris. Nick Groves, sack spider, brown recluse, violent. Those are all bad news. Africa hates human beings. Doesn't just hate white folks. Yeah, those little critters, spiders are the problem. Okay, all right. So that video is up now. It's about a 5-minute video, and hopefully people check into it. Thank you to the 100 people currently here. I really appreciate it. Sack spider sounds pretty creepy. Hang on a second, a message here. Let me see what this is. No. Okay, that's nothing important. It's just spam. Okay, so folks are giving their thoughts about Richard's wife, and it's very kind of them. But some big news going on in South Africa, not the least of which is the video I just produced and released. That's on Dudu Zila Zuma Sambudla. Yeah, she's being charged with terrorism-related charges in violation of Section 14 of that act. It takes place on Thursday. Big court hearing, so I'll have to check the time and see if it's going to be covered, and if so, I'll probably go live when she appears in court, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to need some information on that. Right now, there's nothing available to me, so hopefully we'll find something, and I'll cover it live. Caroline says, we're still waiting for you in Hermanus. Caroline, I've been to Hermanus. I was just in Hermanus in May, or in June. I was in Hermanus in June. I was there with Neil De Beer. Yep, I was in Hermanus. Yep. Oh, I met him there. I wasn't there with him. I met him in Hermanus. I had come over with Sean and Ilsa. So, but yeah, I'm happy to come back to Hermanus. I've got to plan a trip. The problem I've got right now is I've got two consulting gigs. There's a split in them. It used to be 3-week block, and I can plan around it, but now it's a 1 week, and then it's 2 weeks later on, and they're separated by a month or 6 weeks, and it messes up my schedule. So I had hoped to go to the Six Nations in the UK this year, in Ireland, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that off, so I might still do that trip and see some of my viewers in the UK, as well as go to a few United Rugby Championship games. We'll just wait to see if that'll happen. And then the South Africa trip coming up, so I've got to work around that. So yeah, but Hermanus is back on the schedule, of course, and maybe Uppington on this trip, that's for sure. So we'll see. Okay, so this thing is a little bit frozen. I got the fridge turned up a little too high there. Right, so Cyril Ramaphosa tries to explain why South Africa is in the Congo. Well, that's not going to explain it. That's how we end the program. Yes, that's in my video, Ken. It took 3.5 years to get to court. Ramaphosa lauds the brave soldiers who died in the DRC as the Portfolio Committee is demanding answers. Of course, they know the answers. They've been unwilling to take action because they're all political cowards from every political party. President Cyril Ramaphosa issued a statement on the fighting in the eastern DRC, which claimed the lives of 13 South African military soldiers. South Africa's lost 13 brave soldiers who were dedicated to the mission and committed to peace. 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 No, that's a lie. That is a lie. The SADC mission to the Congo didn't go to make peace. They went to shoot at M23. And M23, unfortunately for SADC, is better organized than the 3 countries who sent troops there, including Malawi and South Africa. Better organized and better equipped and better discipline. And as a consequence, South African soldiers are paying the price for ill discipline, poor training, underfunding, and miserable state of affairs in South Africa. Meanwhile, doo-doo is in the doo-doo. Doo-doo is in the cock. The state will charge Duduzile Zuma Sambudla under the Terrorism Act, and it couldn't happen to a nicer cater. The daughter of former President Jacob Zuma will be charged with inciting terrorism that led to the deaths of 354 people in July 2021. Yeah, that's the official figure, ladies and gentlemen, 354 people. The reality is it was probably closer to 3,500 who actually died. She will face a charge of incitement to commit terrorism when she appears in the Durban Magistrates Court on Thursday. Thursday is also the day that Neil de Beer will be on the program. That's tomorrow. Neil de Beer will be on the program at 7 p.m. South African time, so that'd be noon my time. So I'm going to have to start my news a little bit earlier again tomorrow, most likely, as we have Neil de Beer on the program talking about a host of different issues. Yeah, doo-doo is cock, says Ken. Yeah, so she posted a bunch of nonsense back in the day in 2021, which got her in trouble finally. And the MK party here, she just put this up today. I mean, this just never ends. The Honorable Doo-Doo Dingus. 28 January, we see you. So that's what she started, was We See You campaign about her father, which incited people to commit horrific acts of violence, according to the state. Well, she is going to face the music, or is she? It's South Africa. 3.5 years after the actions, she'll face the music now? I doubt it. The MK party has pledged their support to her, despite the charges against her. While some members of the public took social media to call for her to face the music for her alleged role in instigating the violence that was linked to the incarceration of her father, the MK party described her as a senior party leader who deserves support. Yeah, okay. The Human Rights Commission, this captured South African Human Rights Commission, launched an investigation involving excessive damage to businesses in KwaZulu-Natal, and of course, nothing ever came of it. The captured South African Human Rights Commission doesn't care about South Africans. They just care about race hustling. At least their actions would indicate that. That would be an assessment many people give. Continuing FM says, rather bad, the U.S. stocks dropped $1 billion due to Chinese dropping DeepSeek. Not bad at all. Continuing. Just a buying opportunity for long-term investors like myself. Just a buying opportunity. Back to the Congo thing, the News 24 reports that Ramaphosa can't withdraw from the DRC. Come again? Amanda Koza and Alex Patrick claim that Ramaphosa has no authority to take South African troops out of the Congo. Excuse me? South Africa is not a sovereign state. I realize that they bend over at the knee and spend a lot of time with knee pads in Tehran, Beijing, and Moscow, but none of those actors are involved here. So why in the world is Cyril unable to take troops out? Well, according to these authors, he has to rely on SADC to give permission. Seriously? Seriously? Wow. News 24 understands Ramaphosa has been engaging emergency meetings in DRC since Sunday night. But according to them, they need SADC's approval to pull out. No, they don't. No, they don't. They do not. They do not need SADC's approval. South Africa is a sovereign state. It can withdraw from the force at any time. Well, South Africa is shuffling their excuses to try to explain why they have a peacekeeping role, except they don't have a peacekeeping role. That is a flat-out lie. South Africa is not in the DRC for peacekeeping. They're in there to defeat M23, an organization they're ill-equipped, ill-prepared, and lack the discipline to destroy. So, silly, silly stuff. The members of SANDF that are in the DRC are part of the Southern African Development Community and United Nations efforts to bring peace and protect thousands of lives, Ramaphosa said. And those are just lies. The reason why Tshisekedi approved the mission for SADC to come there was because, unlike the East Africa mission, this mission was going there with an offensive capability to take the fight to M23. Well, M23 took the fight to them, and now Goma is in the hands of M23. And 13 South Africans are dead. Dozens other wounded. Yeah. All right. So there you have it. The Defense Committee is angry. Yep. Well, the EFF is angry because they've postponed situation. The economic freedom fighters slammed the ANC over postpone a parliamentary committee meeting in which MPs were expecting to hold institutions close to the South African National Defense Force to account over the country's military presence in the DRC. No, institutions, the only people that need to be held to account for soldiers dying in the DRC are you politicians in the EFF, in the ANC, in the DA, in Action SA, in MK, every party that's there that allocates funding, that votes for this, you are part of partisan parliament. Unless you voted against the deployment, you are responsible. If you did not vote to increase the funding level to 2.5% to 3% for SANDF, you are complicit in the crimes and the misery taking place. That's all of you. So EFF, you have no leg to stand on. You're just a bunch of frauds looking for attention. Ooh, Mr. Carter, Freddie Boom Boom Washington, what is your question? Mr. Carter, if we cuts the funding to the SANDF, does that mean that people be dying in the Congo? Well, Freddie, you ask a very good question. But since this is Parliament, we lie to everybody every day. We're not going to answer that question. Freddie Boom Boom Washington. That's right. Where'd he get the boom boom? I always wondered that. We are not there for war. We're there to maintain peace, says lying from this side of the mouth, lying from that side of the mouth, every word coming out. Do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Nobody understands the words coming out of your mouth. Fikele Mbalula. Mbalula. Sounds like a dance. Mbalula. Umbalula. Yeah. No, Freddie Boom Boom Umbalela. Umbalula. Yes, lying to the public again. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has dismissed speculation the South African National Defense Forces deployed for war and to protect private interests. Well, in fact, they were deployed for war. They were deployed on the condition they would bring an offensive option. Don't try to rewrite history, Fikile. Cyril, I got to do another video about how these people are bold-faced liars. I just did a video a few days ago in which I showed you the news reports and the public media statements when the deployment was authorized in 2023. It was with an offensive capability. Felix Tshisekedi was excited. You know, the East African forces, two things that made that force untenable. Number one, they refused to go on the attack, so they were just in response. So that didn't help the situation. He wanted to get rid of M23. And number two, the Rwandan forces were part of it. The RDF was in that mission. And that was problematic given that they're accused of supporting M23. So they wouldn't take the fight to them anyway. So getting rid of the East African forces and bringing in SADC was done on the premises that would bring an offensive capability and take the fight to M23. Fikile Mbalula is lying. Cyril Ramaphosa is lying. Are you surprised? I'm not. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, Mabula sleeps at night. Nice, Neville. I like that. They went there for peace, and that's what it's all about. It must be understood. Our foreign policy has made a commitment to work for peace in the context of democratic institutions such as the AU and SADC. I'm sorry, this is not a funny situation. I mean, but these asses send us to our deaths all over the world, whether it's Ukraine or it's Bosnia or it's Somalia or it's Iraq or Syria or Mozambique or Central African Republic or the Congo. These asshole politicians send soldiers off to die every day with nary a thought to them. Oh, the brave soldiers. But you're not there for the funeral. I mean, if you're Joe Biden, you do show up for the funeral. By the way, who wears a wristwatch except, Julius Malema wearing his Breitling and Philippe Patek's? Who wears it other than as a fashion statement in 2025? Nobody uses that. Everyone uses their mobile phone, right? Joe Biden at the return of the 13 service members who are dead because of his incompetence and his arrogance. Yeah, so will any members of the ANC or any political party show up when the remains of the South African soldiers are returned? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. And those who do it's probably just for a photo op. No one will do it discreetly because they don't give a flying flip. But Fikile Mbalula is a liar. In fact, the families of the slain South African soldiers say that they haven't even heard from the government. One of the soldiers killed in the DRC hoped to marry his childhood sweetheart this year, and now these plans have been shattered. Calvin Moahi, 28, died on Friday, planned to marry the mother of his 3-year-old daughter. Wow. Families say they've not even heard from the government. Not even heard from the government. Goodness Maluleka, the older sister of Private Derek Maluleka, said the only information they received was that it was not clear when the bodies would be repatriated. We haven't heard from the government, but the people at the base told us they don't know when they'll bring my brother's body back or when the rest will be brought back. It's so painful and so hard for us to cope, she told the Times. She said her brother, father of 3 children aged 4, 6, and 18 months, last sent them a message on Wednesday, a few days before his death. He joined SANDF in 2011. He sent a message saying he will call us later because he's surrounded by fire. He didn't mention anything about being scared, even when he left for the DRC in June or July. On Friday afternoon, members from his battalion told us he passed away. His children don't understand what's happening. We're in pain. He was so kind, helpful, and such a responsible person. He loved his children very much. And he was sent needlessly to his death in a war of no importance whatsoever to South Africa or South Africans. Economic sabotage, that's what they're calling the torching of buses in Limpopo. Transport Minister calls Nat joints to intervene after 51 Putco buses have been burnt. Transport Minister Barbara Creasy, communist, has labeled the burning of 51 buses on Monday as economic sabotage. She said the bus industry plays a critical role in the mobility of the workforce. They condemned the incident. It's of utmost importance that the law enforcement agencies take every possible course of action to investigate Monday's incident and bring the perpetrators to book. Yeah. So, some pretty horrific things happen in South Africa, and this is one of the saddest stories that we've talked about in a while. And I don't mean to add to the family's grief, but people need to know about the level of violence and the way that children are raised and how they behave, not just in South Africa, but also around the world, but particularly in South Africa. Killed for refusing a kiss. Mother says a 10-year prison sentence is simply not enough. Nima Marshall was killed in July of 2023 when she refused to give a boy a kiss. A colored girl from Mitchell's Plains. The mother of a teenage girl was shot dead by a boy she refused to kiss, is bitterly disappointed at the prison sentence handed down to her killer. I don't think the punishment he got was enough for me. Within 7 years, he'll be free again, and what next is going to happen? Who is going to be his next victim? Said Fadima Marshall. Nima Marshall, 14, from Beacon Valley in Mitchell's Plain, was visiting her aunt in Ersta River when she was killed on July 17, 2023. She was the youngest of 5 children attending Beacon Valley High and was remembered as a joyful teen who stood up for herself. Her killer, age 15, was sentenced by the Blue Downs Magistrates Court to 10 years in prison for the murder. He was also convicted of illegally being in possession of firearm ammunition. Her time on earth is done. The things she did meant a lot to everybody. She always made everybody smile. She was a jolly person. Mother said she's going to appeal the case. His children aren't satisfied with what he got. I'm not satisfied either. That is a joke. 10 years for murdering a 14-year-old girl because she wouldn't kiss you? Talk about a lack of impulse control. Talk about a lack of discipline. And where's he getting this? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. 10 years. What about the charges for unlawful firearm possession and ammunition? Those alone should carry 10-year sentences, let alone the murder of an innocent 14-year-old girl. Meanwhile, we have NCC and other groups running around talking about the DA's failure. This isn't the DA's failure. This is the failure of South African parents and society. Just like the way that Hannah Cornelius was gang raped for hours and then bludgeoned to death with a boulder. This isn't a political party's fault unless they're in charge of criminal justice. Well, the ANC was in charge of that. Horrific. Rest in peace to Nima Marshall. Such a sad story. Too many of them. Ladies and gentlemen, apparently it's the year of the snake. What an apropos title with the devious politicians and media around the world. The year of the snake, Ramaphosa's heartfelt message to China on the Lunar New Year. On behalf of the government and people of the Republic of South Africa, it's a unique pleasure for me to convey our warmest compliments to the government and people of the People's Republic of China on the commencement of the Lunar New Year of the snake on Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. Sorry. I was just doing a rendition of Cyril Ramaphosa. Sorry, let me brush my knees off. So Cyril sent a message to his parents, to his overlords in Beijing, wishing them a good Lunar New Year, the year of the snake. The year of the snake. 5 EFF leaders charged for storming government offices, released on bail. Look at these troublemakers. 5 senior EFF leaders in KwaZulu-Natal were arrested for storming the Umlatuzi municipality offices, were granted 5,000 Rand bail in the Richards Bay Magistrates Court on Wednesday. Now, once again, not taken seriously. These people threaten public safety, they're political figures, and they should be in prison. Yep. Well, the National Party did one thing that certainly improved quality of life and longevity in South Africa. They use DDT. That's right. The pesticide was used, and it was used in great measure in Limpopo and particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. And malaria was almost completely under control. Very few cases of malaria reported, just a few thousand every year in South Africa. And so it was kept under control. The environment was not harmed in any dramatic fashion. Minor amounts, judicious use of DDT. The African National Congress, believing the environmental wacko nonsense from the political left, came into office and then, oh, we can't have DDT. It's horrible. Rachel Carlson, Silent Spring. Yeah, so they banned the use of DDT in South Africa, and the number of cases of malaria skyrocketed from a few thousand to over 75,000 in the first 9 months after they banned DDT back in the 1990s. The World Health Organization actually admitted that this was dumb, and so did the South African government. They later reversed course, but by then the malaria had entrenched itself and it's made it difficult to get rid of. You see the judicious use of a little bit of DDT sprayed in the appropriate corners here, not the wholesale spraying of DDT like morons in America did in the 1930s, going to public swimming pools and spraying people like they're running through a hose with DDT. That's the carcinogen, causes cancer when you take it in such high doses. But small amounts used judiciously keep mosquitoes at bay and diminish the cases of malaria. But the ANC know-it-alls, just like they knew it all about nevirapine, and over 500,000 children born with HIV needlessly in South Africa, living with it to today, courtesy of their ignorance and the small penis envy of Thabo Mbeki, led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands and the misery of suffering with this life-altering virus. Same with malaria. The ANC are a bunch of idiots that don't understand science. They are leftists who believe whatever they're told by their overlords, and they bought it. Well, South Africa's Old Lady the Sea, an Arctic research vessel, has been converted into a tourist ship. Wow, you want to go to the Arctic? Well, the Antarctic, I should say, not the Arctic. Antarctic. The S.A. Agulhas will now offer tourist trips to Antarctica. Oh, well, we need more people leaving their rubbish in Antarctica. She's probably done more sea miles than a sperm whale and battled more waves than a pro surfer. South Africa's Old Lady, the S.A. Agulhas, has just embarked on a second life as a charter vessel. The latest chapter in the adventure story of one of the country's most famous ships was built in a Japanese shipyard in 1977, and for years was the linchpin of South Africa's national Antarctic program, connecting the mainland with the country's Antarctic base and research bases in Marion and Gulf Islands in the sub-Antarctic Indian Ocean. She then became a training facility for maritime recruits. However, budgetary constraints saw her gathering seagulls most of the time in Cape Town Harbor. Now, having been bought last year by a German company, JS Maritime Partners, the S.A. Agulhas is sailing the high seas once again, now on her way to Port Louis in Mauritius. After successful sea trials, she'll begin taking people on a round trip to the Southern Ocean and Antarctica. Ladies and gentlemen, this company is German. Therefore, they must give up half their equity to black South Africans. I think that this is illegitimate for Germans to colonize Africa by buying this derelict government ship, rehabilitating and creating a business and jobs out of thin air. This is clearly evil magic perpetrated by evil white wizards. The evil white wizards have taken a ship and they've rehabilitated, refurbished it, refitted it, and created a business that's making a profit. We can't have that. These evil white wizards must be punished. Turn over 51% of your equity to people with sufficient skin pigmentation. The Melanin Challenge shall not be successful in South Africa. We will not allow that to happen. Well, this op-ed caught my attention. A fake golden age. I missed this somehow. It came out, 6 days ago, last week. This is what passes for intellectual thought in South Africa. Now, if you read my Daily Friend op-ed today, you'll see not the same sort of garbage that you're going to see here. I was much more balanced. Just a second here. Let me find where that's going to be at. One of these that many people don't really... There it is. There it is. My goodness. Woo, man, there's some serious wind going here. I can hear my house cracking. What is going on? Got some serious wind. So here's the link to that very quickly for anybody that might want it. This is the Daily Friend article. You can open up another tab and read my report afterwards. But you'll find that my op-ed, while it's a little spicy, it's not very spicy. This is a very spicy, very disrespectful, very rude. And who gives people like this the time of day? This isn't even intellectual. This is just ranting by a leftist nonsense. And it's not a video, not someone live streaming. It's actually published. When you publish something, you should take it more seriously than this garbage. Putting something on Twitter or social media, that's one thing. But this must be taken much differently. So, this is by Paul Ash. God bless America and now save it after Donald Trump's inauguration. You have to give it to the 47th president. He, like a good carnival barker, sure knows how to rev up a crowd. The Capitol's interior hasn't been seen since that shirtless horned QAnon shaman, by the way, screams he's going to buy some mother effing guns. Anyway, so much for the experts who insisted Trump's speech would be about unity. This was unreality TV where delusions run deep. No surprise that tech broligarchs, whose algorithm-driven swamps have helped deliver the world to a fresh hell, are smooching his ring. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, getting off his plane from Munich in 1938, waving a worthless piece of paper signed by Hitler and mumbling "peace in our time," was less insane. The show felt like a combination of state funeral and episode of The Apprentice. There were choirs and revivalist preachers and U.S. Marines presenting bayonet-tipped rifles to someone who once reportedly called the U.S. war dead suckers. And Melania Trump a hat so severe she looked like a baddie in a Western. Seriously? You can't take an idiot like this. I don't know who this clown is, Paul Ashe, but he's a clear asswipe. Anybody know Paul Ashe? This guy's an idiot. Yeah, and you can tell him I said that. That's just disrespectful and rude. I mean, look, when people start attacking Melania Trump, one of the most successful supermodels in the world, a self-made woman, an immigrant who speaks 6 languages and speaks most of them fluently, who's never done anything except been polite, professional, respectful, and they attack her over her hat, you know that they're not serious. Well, the African Union is urging M23 to lay down its arms. I feel like I'm watching Babylon 5. Just when we were on the verge of winning the war, we surrendered. We were winning, but we surrendered. Why would M23 lay down its arms? They've captured Goma. Maybe MONUSCO and the SADC mission should lay down their arms. That's from the M23 perspective. The African Union on Tuesday condemned the violence in Eastern Tunisia and called on the M23 group to lay down its arms. The AU's Peace and Security Council held an extraordinary ministerial meeting Tuesday to discuss the rapidly escalating conflict as M23 armed groups moved into the eastern DRC. Ladies and gentlemen, the African Union's Peace and Security Council is a body that I used to work at, and I can tell you how this meeting went. It went nowhere because no African countries are willing to put their troops in harm's way, other than suckers in SADC. Yep, so nonsense. Well, as the crisis escalates in the DRC, the United States, under Marco Rubio, who's been the Secretary of State for all of a week, are already negotiating a ceasefire. Joe Biden ignored the DRC his entire 4 years. He didn't do squat. Marco Rubio, not that he's going to be successful, but he is already his first week addressing peace and security issues in Africa, and not from Washington, but actually engaging with African leaders, including Paul Kagame, which is where you need to engage. If, in fact, Rwanda backs M23, you're not going to stop M23 unless you stop Rwanda support. And so a rational Secretary of State, someone that I didn't necessarily like for Secretary of State, but nonetheless a rational person is in the room. We have adults in the room now that Trump is back in office. And we have Paul Ashe writing asinine nonsense. What has South Africa done in the conflict in the DRC in 30 years? Not jack squat. They're in Africa. You can say, what has America done? Well, we poured tons of money in to train the Congolese and put pressure on Rwanda, but nothing's ever come of it. So less than a week in office, and Marco Rubio is already negotiating to end the conflict. What has the ANC done? They fuel the conflict by sending troops there with an offensive capability. Well, on paper, they're not really equipped to do offense. They just claim they are. The president of the crisis-hit DRC was set to meet with his Rwandan counterpart in an emergency summit on Wednesday. After talking to U.S. Secretary of State, Kagame said he agrees on the need for a ceasefire. Well, look at that. Look at that. Wow. So all it took was for little Marco to engage with Paul Kagame, and we're talking not that anything will come of it, not that it will last, but it's more progress than we've seen in 4 years under the previous administration. Didn't clean the VC. What's the VC? Or what is a VC? Viet Cong? 500,000 people returned to northern Gaza. More than 500,000 displaced Palestinians returned after 15 months of war. At least 2 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces in the past day, and 2 others have succumbed to their injuries as 59 bodies have been recovered from the rubble. Anwar has been a lifeline for Palestinians, says refugee camp resident Mohammed Abu Sor. Unfortunately, Anwar is a terror supporter. Anwar, we have got video footage of Anwar employees driving in on scooters into Israel to slaughter and murder innocent civilians on October 7th. We've proven that Anwar has provided hiding places and weapons caches for Hamas. So Anwar may have provided relief for some people, but an organization must be disbanded and its members criminally prosecuted for waging war, illegal war, as civilians. Well, Europe must fix its weaknesses to compete globally. You think? The genius Ursula von der Leyen is telling us that Europe must fix its inherent systemic problems. Duh. The EU's plan is based on recommendations made by former Italian Prime Minister and European Central Bank President Mario Draghi. European Union nations must work together quickly to put strategy in place to help the bloc compete against global economic powerhouses like China and the U.S. Europe has everything it needs to succeed in the race to the top, but at the same time, we must fix our weaknesses to regain competitiveness. Well, they're releasing their so-called competitiveness compass, a 26-page document full of bullshit, which will never be accomplished. Why is Europe uncompetitive? Because Europe is full of criminal alien invaders who undermine peace and security. It's full of ridiculous regulations that push up the cost of doing business. It's full of idiots like in Germany who destroy their energy production industry, driving up the price of electricity to the highest price in the world, making the industry non-competitive. These are some of the problems Europe has. Yeah, the biggest problem European countries have is Brussels. Get rid of Brussels and Europe will be much more competitive. United Kingdom has decided to add a third runway at Heathrow. I thought we did this already. The UK government backs a third runway at Heathrow Airport as part of its drive to lift the economy out of a long period of stagnation. The country's largest airport has long sought to expand its capacity to handle passenger and freight traffic, but has been stymied by objections from local residents and environmental campaigners. Well, of course, nobody in Slough. By the way, why'd you build your freaking houses next to an airport and then whine about the noise? But nobody in Slough wants more noise, or Hounslow. They don't want more noise. I get it, but too bad. Too bad. There's a reason why your houses are inexpensive compared to the rest of the UK. It's because you're next to an airport. And the reason you're next to an airport is because it was inexpensive. So you want to complain about being next to an airport? I'm sorry. No sympathy for you. None. Donald Trump is keeping up his breakneck pace with executive orders, aiming to drastically reduce the size of the federal workforce and push out people who do not support his political agenda. His administration has offered roughly 2 million U.S. government employees an option to resign, but be paid through the end of September. The Office of Personnel Management, which oversees federal civilian workers, emailed the offer with a deadline of February 6th. Wow. So there's a buyout plan, although there is conflicting information about the buyout plan, whether it's going to happen or not. Yeah. 2 million of government employees the option to resign and continue being paid for several months. It's strong criticism from Democrats immediately and from unions representing federal workers. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Well, deported Colombian migrants complain of despotic, humiliating treatment. Those sent back to the homeland didn't have criminal records, their government says. Well, I'm sorry there, Gustavo Petro. Every one of these people who was sent out of the country was a criminal alien invader. By definition, they violated the law. They committed a felony by entering the United States and not presenting themselves at a legitimate border crossing with their passport. Hello, my name is Juan Valdez. I'm a coffee supplier from Bogota, Colombia. I am in the country for a conference on coffee in San Francisco. I'll be staying for 2 weeks. Here's my reservation at the Hilton. Well, welcome, Juan Valdez. We appreciate your business in America. Enjoy your stay here. Stamp the passport, and on you go. Of course, we know we don't stamp passports anymore. You just scan the stupid thing in the machine. But none of these people were migrants. None of these people are not criminals. Every single one of them is a criminal. And I love our new press secretary for the White House, who yesterday said as much. Caroline Leavitt said, yeah, they're all criminals. They broke our law. They came in the country illegally. You are a criminal. Get over yourselves. Well, we did it again. So, exhausted and grimy after days in detention in the United States, migrants began arriving Tuesday in their homeland's capital aboard Colombian government jets, part of what the Trump administration calls America's largest ever mass deportation. Many of them said they were arrested shortly after crossing the border in recent days following journeys of hundreds of miles. They were bitter about being expelled so quickly. The treatment was despotic, humiliating, says Juan Sebastian Alonso, 23 years old, as he walked in Bogota's El Dorado airport and tried to decide what he was going to do next. Wow. The Trump administration has made a priority to follow through on deporting migrants. They're not migrants. They're criminal alien invaders. Stop it, Wall Street Journal. You're a lying sack of feces newspaper. U.S. officials have said they're focusing their early efforts on criminals with criminal records. We're getting the bad, hard criminals out. They're murderers. The Colombians who were deported Tuesday had no history of criminal activities, the Colombian government said. Yeah, they do have a history of criminal activity. They've entered our country and committed a felony by being here. Also, you may not have a Colombian criminal record, but many of these people have criminal records in America. So, shut up, Gustavo. Shut up, little Gustavo. Sit down, be quiet. Yes. Senate Judiciary Committee has advanced Pam Bondi's nomination for Attorney General. She took questions from the committee last week regarding weaponization of government, immigration, and other issues, and it's now advanced. In a 12-10 vote, they had a 14-13 vote last time, so where are the other people at? They didn't bother to show up for the hearing. So it goes to the floor. We've got Kash Patel coming up next. So Pam Bondi will go to the floor, and she will be the next Attorney General. A far cry from meritless Garland, the bum-hurt, never completed nomination of Barack Obama. Meritless Garland did more to undermine law and order and human dignity in this country than anyone who's ever served in the Attorney General's office. A man who should be facing criminal charges, whom I don't think got a pardon from Sleepy Joe. So he might be in trouble. Yeah. Hey, Debbie, what's going on? White House incentivizes federal workers to resign. That's the story I talked about a few minutes ago. The email sent to federal workers, the most sweeping effort by the Trump administration to shrink the ranks of government. Yep, most of the 2.3 million federal workers are eligible for the incentive. Interesting. We'll see if it actually happens. Amid the chaos, Trump has got one clear message to everybody. I'm in charge. That's what the New York Times says. Cigars were never illegal from Colombia. It was Cuba. The new president has moved with lightning speed to purge officials he deems disloyal and rid agencies of policies he considers liberal. When he took office last week, President Trump said he would measure his success in part by the wars we never get into, but he's eagerly waged a full-fledged assault on his own government. Well, yeah, because our own government is part of the problem. The reason why we have such high inflation is in large measure due to the overspending by our Congress and by our federal bureaucracy in programs that carry no value. Do you know that when they paused federal aid, foreign aid, one of the reasons they paused it is that they were about to spend $50 million to buy condoms in Gaza. Who the hell is in Gaza to wear condoms? And who is thinking about knocking boots in the middle of a war? Seriously. And oh, by the way, we know that the condoms that go there, we've got the video footage. They've run the news stories. They turn them into weapons. They inflate the condoms. They attach explosives to them, and they float them over into civilian settlements in Israel to murder Israeli civilians. So the U.S. government was going to spend $50 million. That would buy $500 million. Is that right? $50 million? Yeah, $500 million at wholesale condoms for Gaza. What moron approves a program like that? That's the sort of stuff that's going on in our government. That's $50 million. We just saved $50 million right there. Boom. That's nothing in the scheme of things. Greg says his family lived in West Germany from 88 to 90 when he was 9 to 11. He's forgotten the language. I'm sorry to hear that you forgot the language. Stolen valor bill makes its way through Congress, offering harsher penalties for those who steal our valor. Veterans regard false claims of service as demeaning to the uniform and the theft of millions in benefits from deserving foreign military members. Yeah, well, little Timmy Waltz is one of these stolen valor clowns. This guy claimed that he was something he wasn't, claimed he retired as a sergeant major. He's a liar. Thank goodness he's not the vice president. Of all the schemes and scams U.S. Air Force veteran Bob Dalpe is aware of, stolen valor stands out as one of the most reprehensible. Stolen valor is defined as when a person falsely claims to have served in the military, pretends to have made sacrifice in combat, and may even wear a fake uniform adorned with counterfeit medals. Dalpe said some veterans also misrepresent their rank and service to obtain additional benefits and recognition. That would be Timmy Waltz. Now, I am in contact with a South African whom I hope to interview sometime in the near future, and I introduced myself as Colonel, and that person wrote back to me and thanked me for the invitation, said they would take me up on it, and addressed me as General. And I corrected them instantly and said, I appreciate the promotion, but I never rose above the rank of Colonel. It wasn't available to me. But many people happily mislead people like Timmy Waltz did, making claims that are untrue. It's very frustrating to deal with them because they know their integrity is in question. It hurts everybody around you. It devalues their service. Dalpe and other veterans attended a press conference in Phoenix for the official unveiling of a bill that would penalize anyone found guilty of stolen valor in Arizona. We've had a number of stolen valor cases in the state that caused Arizona upwards of $40 million for veterans benefits, job placement, and so on. There's a push to hold people accountable. If they have to go to jail because of it, they will go to jail. Stolen valor is essentially a lie, according to the Armed Forces Benefit Association. While it's not technically illegal to make things up to impress friends at a party, the AFBA clarifies that stolen valor is more complicated than that, which is why it's considered a crime. Military impersonation is a similar offense committed willfully and wrongfully with or without the intent to defraud, the organization states on its website. Several states already penalize for stolen valor. In Florida, soliciting charitable contributions or other benefits while falsely claiming to be a veteran is a felony. Under the New Jersey Stolen Valor Act, it's a crime for someone to falsely claim they've received a military decoration or medal. In July 2024, Representative Beth Van Druin from Texas reintroduced the Valor Earned, Not Stolen Act. Legislation seeks to maximize the penalty for stolen valor from 1 year to 3 years in prison, aligning with the penalty for impersonating a public official. Yep. Stricter penalties is what we're calling for. The Federal Stolen Valor Act 2005 makes it a misdemeanor to falsely claim that one has received any military medal or honor. Mike Simon, a U.S. military veteran from Illinois, believes that stolen valor demeans veterans and reflects poorly on those who falsify their military service. I think it's an embarrassment to veterans all over the country and all over the state of Arizona. I think it's sad that you have to embellish your record of service in order to gain some type of advantage. Exactly. 100%. And I have never and never shall embellish my military service. Everything I tell you, it's the truth. Yep. RFK Jr. defends his record in Senate confirmation. It's a live Senate confirmation hearings going on right now. Let's see if it's still live. Try to let me reload this and see if it's still live. Well, there's nobody in Gaza, Richard, so that's not really appropriate.
Administration has taken. Let me ask you another question. When we met in my office, you said about lowering drug prices, that when Big Pharma price gouges, the American people suffer. I think we both agree on that. And I think
Big
you're
Pharma's not
sincere in your
gouging.
belief
They're
that you
recouping
want
their
to
research
reduce
and development
prices
costs.
for Americans, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. The Inflation Reduction Act empowered Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. It penalizes drug companies for price hikes above inflation, and it caps seniors' out-of-pocket drug costs, along with reducing insulin prices to $35 per month. But your future boss, Donald Trump,
All of which is anti-market, anti-competitive, and is damaging to the economy. Fixing the prices and not letting companies raise prices above inflation means that they can gain no capital, no additional profit from a drug to research another drug. They can't expand their factories. They can't pay their workers more. They can only go at inflation prices. Forcing companies to sell drugs at $35 a prescription when it costs hundreds of dollars for that prescription, develop it, market it, and produce it and sell it, means they have to make money off of other things. This is an anti-competitive, anti-market overreach of the government. The problem with prescription drug costs is not drug companies gouging people. It's not the pharmaceuticals. The problem is the FDA and the federal government and its restrictions and its strict requirements, which many of us are not arguing against. We don't want experimental things like COVID jabs put in people's arms without thorough testing, And of course, we all know that we tested those jabs on black Africans because American pharmaceutical companies are racist. Oh, wait, no, almost everybody who got the jab was an American or a Brit under the test. There were no Africans involved. Remember that nonsense? Oh, they're racist. Drug companies, they're experimenting on Africans. No, never happened. Now, we didn't experiment with the malaria vaccine in Europe or the United States because we don't have malaria. So jabbing a bunch of people here who can't catch malaria isn't going to prove whether it works or not. Jabbing people in West Africa where it's endemic and people need protection against malaria is where you test this thing. So sadly, that's who had to get tested. Sorry, that hurts your feelings. It's not racist. It's just the way science works. RFK is going through confirmation hearings right now. They really want to stop him from getting in. Well, Trump sows fear with shock and awe deportation campaign. Officials are calling attention to raids and pursuing deportations beyond immigrant hubs. President Trump's immigration directives are clearing the path for officials to step up deportations, but the White House flashy public relations campaign around its deportation might work just as effective as it unsettles immigrant communities across the country. Yeah, in the first week of his administration, Immigration Customs Enforcement officials arrested nearly 5,000 immigrants. ICE arrested approximately 300 people a day during the former President Joe Biden last year. Now, see, that's a very dishonest media report. Those are factual statements. However, in the first 5 days of the Trump administration, they arrested fewer people on average per day than the Biden administration did. The people who opened up the border, and the Trump did less. But they had a big surge over the weekend, so suddenly, they just, see how people play with numbers? Statistics are for liars. Yeah, anyway, so sowing fear in immigrant communities. Well, they're not immigrant communities, folks. They're not. These are criminal alien invaders. If you are in the United States legally, you have nothing to fear. If you entered at an authorized border crossing at an airport, at a seaport, at a land crossing, and entered our country from Canada, from Mexico, legally, or came in on a pleasure boat from the Bahamas and landed in Miami. Welcome to America. I hope you enjoy your stay. If you've immigrated here from elsewhere and we've allowed you in the country because we've proven that you don't have a criminal record, that you can add to our country's diversity and economic prosperity, well, welcome. Please join us. We're glad you're part of the team. If, however, you travel thousands of miles through Central Europe or Central Africa, Central America, I knew I'd get it right eventually. Travel thousands of miles through Central America, passing through multiple countries that are safe for you to reside in, rock up at our border, then slip across the Rio Grande or the desert of Arizona, New Mexico, California in the dark of night, paying illegal coyote human smugglers to get you into the country because you know you're wrong, and then move yourself around and get supported by charitable organizations taking money from federal government to undermine our safety and security by bringing criminal alien invaders in our country. You are not welcome here, and you should be fearful. And perhaps you should self-deport and take your sorry ass back to whatever origin you came from, whether it's Kazakhstan, South Africa, Ireland, Russia, Myanmar, Kampuchea, Australia. I don't give a flying flip. Take your illegal ass back there. Every single country I've gone to, the 78 countries that I've visited in my lifetime or worked in or lived in, I adhered to the laws of those countries. Simple as that. Simple as that. You respect the norms of the country. And when I lived in Tunisia, a predominantly Muslim country, I respected Ramadan and the Eid al-Fitr. And I actually practiced fasting during Ramadan in a spirit of solidarity with my teammates. Not required, but I did it. I didn't demand that Tunisians become Christians. I didn't demand that they all start playing American football. I didn't demand that they all walk around in shorts or that they create artificial snow so I can go skiing or that they implement U.S. code in their country. And you don't get to come here and dictate that to us, particularly criminal alien invaders. You are illegal. Bye-bye. And you should be scared. You should be scared. You should be terrified for being held to account. That's what you should be. All right, let me get back to the chat here. See what people got to say. So another 17 minutes, we'll be live with Ronaldo on Wednesdays with the Colonel, assuming he's available. I suspect he will be. Checking my mobile. It's fully charged now. Let me see if anybody's watched that video, by the way. That's the news. I put the salvo bone up. I think that's pretty cute. I wonder if people like that. 356 views already, 16. I got some dislikes. Got one dislike. By the way, folks, please, if you watch my videos, if you like them at all, please push the like button because there's always a hate wanker who dislikes it. You don't see the dislikes, but I see them. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Oh, my Trump foreign aid video just went over 5,000, and my Gate McKenzie video is on the verge of 50,000. I thought it wasn't going to make it because it slowed down perceptibly, but it's close now. That video, oh, it's over 50,000. Yay! The Gate McKenzie video, 50,500 views, 303 new subscribers, and a little bit of ad revenue from it too. Thank you for that. 17 times higher than my average normal video view. In addition to that, the foreign aid one from Trump has gone over 5,000. It's at 5,022 views. Thank you for that one. That's where I got Trump on the cover with the FAFO. F around, find out. This one's about to go over 10,000. DA panicking over the PEPFAR suspension. It's 10,300. That one's still going. Thank you. I really appreciate all the people rocking up and finding the channel now. I did the Helen Zilla, JP Smith, Ronaldo host video. That one's at 3,900 now. Not great, but that's good. And the DA press conference, my analytics after that, I didn't put a lot of glitzy stuff in it, so it's not really doing much. That's 2,000 or 1,500. The Duda Zilla one is at 648 views, so it's not growing as fast as I'd like it to go, but it's a little bit above average. So that's a good start. And that one's been up for about an hour now. Let's see, it's been up for 52 minutes, and it's under 1,000, 648. So hopefully it'll pick up some pace. But yeah, we've had a pretty good 48 hours. We had over 80,000 views in 48 hours, and a couple months ago I was only getting about 80 to 100,000, 120,000 views in a month, and we've done really well this month. Really picking up. Appreciate people finding the channel, and whatever YouTube is doing to ease the censorship or promote the content. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. I wish you'd do it on all my channels. I don't know why you suppressed me on my other channel. There's nothing wrong with that channel. Right. And the added benefit of this is new subscribers, new exposure, more people who hear the truth and can listen and decide for themselves whether they like it or not. And also there's a uptick in the amount of ad revenue, which is helpful. I can use that money. Okay. All right. Over in the chat, Debbie's here. And then Greg mentioned that. So Tracy Wolf says, wind farm. What's that? Okay. Matthew, explosive condoms. Either you have been single for a long time or the condoms are malfunctioning. No, they're blown up and they attach incendiary devices to them. Yep. Hey, Dave, how's it going? And come to South Africa, you can be a general. Just paint your face. Okay. Bernard says, when I went to America, stolen valor was very frowned upon. If you served, you get discounts on the benefits. Well, you can. It's not automatic. In fact, I spent most of my 36 years overseas, very little with America. And all this concept where businesses offer discounts to military and veterans, it was a concept that was in its nascent stages in the few times I was stationed in America. So I didn't really know about it for the most part. But then when I came back after 9/11, people were like offering me discounts like, oh, I didn't know that. Thanks. And I forgot because I'm always overseas. Most of the next 19 years after that or 18 years after that, I was overseas, except for the last 4 years back here in the States. And I would forget. And then finally, just before I retired, I started remembering, hey, what about a military discount? So I started asking, going to sporting events, do you offer a military discount? And they did. And I get a cheaper ticket, and that was nice. Some stores offer it, but not everybody does. And they don't have to. It's their prerogative. They don't feel obligated to offer discounts to military. But lots of people do steal valor, and that's probably why a lot of businesses frown upon actually providing those discounts. But anyway, Bruce Vincent just subscribed. Thank you, Bruce, for your subscription. Dave said, get my email about the White House press conference available. Anyone who does news online. Email or a WhatsApp? Dave, I didn't see any email, but no, I'm aware of that. I watched Carolyn Levitt's live press conference yesterday, and the moment she announced that, I went straight to the website and I applied. Now, they're probably going to have thousands of people who aren't legitimate content creators and news aggregators, news reporters. Hang on a second here. I'm trying to find it now. Give me a second here. Where's it at? Come on. It's up here soon. There it is. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get one, but I applied for it, which means I'd have to drive down to D.C. frequently for this, but that's okay. I'll do it for y'all. But and I have to stand at the back of the room. But you know what? If I get press credentials for the White House, that's fine. So I applied for press credentials yesterday while she was still giving the press conference, and there you go. That's all you get back. Thank you. Your submission has been recorded from the White House. So I applied yesterday. So we'll see who all applies. But I suspect they're going to give it to people like they already have Axios and Breitbart, who they consider non-traditional. She said it's open to people like myself. By the way, if I get 25,000 subscribers on this channel, then I'll consider myself an influencer. I've never considered myself an influencer. But 25,000 would be a magic mark, I think, to say you're an influencer. Content creator, news reporter, independent journalist. I fit all those boxes. Check them all. I'm not one-armed. I'm not gay. I'm not trans. I'm not African American, I'm not Asian American, so none of that counts for me. So hopefully the other things count. Richard says knocking boots happens in war zones. Yes, rape happens more than double the standard rate. Yeah, but there's nobody in Gaza, and you don't need 500 million condoms. There's only 2.5 million people who live there, and they're not all adult age males. So anyway, most of our veterans following Roland DeFries. What do you mean following? Watching this program? Drug research just grows on trees. Exactly, Tom. It's sometimes companies get lucky. So, for instance, the little blue pill, Viagra, wasn't developed as a erectile dysfunction drug. It was developed as, I think, a high blood pressure medication or something like that, or it was something like that, or low blood pressure. Anyway, so they developed it, and they spent billions of dollars in development only to find a very surprising side benefit. It gives wood. And so, giving wood, they decided to take advantage of that. And they marketed, and they've made billions off of it. Now the protections for it have worn off now because it's been past the 10 years. But they made so much money off of it, they'd finance many other drugs for research. Yep. All right. Skeptic, is there a mechanism for free trade? I don't understand your question, mechanism or skeptic. What do you mean a mechanism for free trade? Please explain what you're asking. I don't understand. EPA and FDA need, oh yes, the Environmental Protection Agency needs to be eliminated. The Food and Drug Administration does need to be audited. Yep. And Ken is not sad about something. Just think, if South Africa had been renamed to Zania, we could call ANC the Zannies. You can still call them the Zanies. Auntie Erica, we serve with honor and pride with our black and colored. Yes, you did. Okay, what else? I'm out of here. I have to help an 11th grader with a task. Joy of being a granny. All right, well, Leah, good luck with that task. Do you get the stack discounts for military and senior citizen? No. you get one or the other. And it's crazy because like I go to Arby's, which is a restaurant, a fast food restaurant. I go there sometimes. And if the right manager's on duty and you show your military ID card, she gives me 30% or 30. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. That's a nice discount. And that means the company's not really making much money off of my sandwiches. So, and I appreciate it. So I go there more often so they make money off the smaller margins. But then sometimes there's someone else there, a different manager, and I get like a 10% discount. But hey, you know, thank you. McDonald's offers no discounts anytime, anywhere for anybody. So I never get one there. So appreciate Arby's doing it. Russell Copeland says, maybe a topic to touch on is South African vets. Russell, I've talked about South African veterans till the cows come home. I've done stories on it. I've played videos. I've done a lot on it. So what do you want specifically? It doesn't gain me more viewers, or maybe, but I'm not doing it to gain viewers. I'm doing it to report on. But is there some new angle, or is there someone you'd like me to talk to? I've also interviewed veterans in the past and talked about the Bush War. So happy to do it, but give me something or someone to focus on. Just saying, talk about South African veterans doesn't really help that much. I interviewed recently the Deputy Defense Minister. That's Major General Bantu Holomisa on the program. And we talked about this. We talked about veterans from the Bush War and how they were denied benefits and such. Yep. Pick and Pay offered me pension discount when I was, but you're offended, Anne-Marie. Why? Because it made you look like you were old or something? At least you got knowledgeable response. Well, it's done by a computer, so don't get too excited. It's a great documentary on YouTube about Eben Barlow and executive outcomes. Yeah, no, I'm actually in touch with Eben Barlow. That reminds me. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Yep. Yeah, once I go back to South Africa, I'll probably get a chance to meet up with him. So thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, I'd like to interview him. He's got a lot of books out, among other things. Yes, I'm very familiar with executive outcomes. Very familiar with it. Remember, I used to be in the intelligence committee. During all the time that executive outcomes was busy, I was in the intelligence committee. I left some great comments on the Delusional Alliance official webpage. It's Ronaldo here. I didn't see him pop in. All right. Evan's a cool dude, says. Okay, well, I don't know. I've just been in touch with him via text, so I was put in touch with him by someone. So, by the way, let's take a look. The channel has 22,503 subscribers now. Thank you for that, folks. And before we run off for Ronaldo Wednesdays with the Colonel, let me just take a quick look. That Sawabona video is now up to 780, so it's slightly ahead average. Not great, but maybe it'll pick up. And, as I said, the Gate McKenzie was over 50,000. Even shows up in my stats as over 50,000. The politicians rush to make excuses for expropriation videos at almost 40,000. I really like to see it get to 40,000. It's getting about 60 views per hour, so I need another 349 or 59. So maybe by the end of the day, it might get to 40,000. That'd be great. I think what's happening now with people coming and finding the channel, they're going back and finding older videos. Yeah, that's awesome. Really awesome. Because I like to hit thresholds in the videos. So if I look at analytics before you go anywhere, just a week ago on the 22nd, we had 21,289. So we've gone to 22,503. So we just got another one while I was chatting. Let's hope that keeps going. If we compare that to the last 90 days, we'll see that we've had a pretty good bump since December 28th when we were at 20,161. So we're 2,400 more than we were at the beginning of the month. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Especially had a big bump last week. But if we go back to November, in November, we were still at 19,000. Now, if we go back to this time a year ago, 365 days, a year ago, this channel had just 14,000 subscribers. So we're 50% larger than we were a year ago. That's good. And it all started in the summertime when I was in South Africa covering the elections. That's when we really started getting some more traction. And now we're getting more. But lifetime, let's go back to the beginning of this in April of 2021 when we started with 248 or 206 on the first day I started the channel. So thank you. Most of you are probably sitting here now, those 206 people, or at least half of you. You elaborate on Trump's defunding some federal grants within America, health and housing. Tracy, yeah, that's very confusing. I didn't read the report from the Office Budget Management, OMB. I did hear Carolyn Levitt say that individual grants are not going away. So the media is trying to run out and say that food stamps have stopped and welfare has stopped and, all this. No, it hasn't. Benefits to individuals have not stopped, according to the Office of Budget Management, OMB. This is a lie by the leftists, just like the lie that the Colombians are telling that the people who came back to Colombia weren't criminals. They are. They have criminal records. They violate American sovereignty. It's a felony offense, punishable by years in prison. So they should be happy they're not sitting in federal prison. They're actually in Colombia where they belong. So yeah, that's being distorted massively. People like Ash, that clown that we talked about earlier, unbelievable. But that's what people get away with. So anyway, that's what people get away with. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm trying to keep the videos going fast and furious as I can to get to the end of the month, and we'll see how it goes from there. But to the 102 people currently here, thanks for being here. I need to set this up so that we redirect very quickly. So give me a second here, folks, because Ronaldo and I got to go online in about 4 minutes. Let me set this up so we go there. And hopefully some of you will follow us over there. Customization, we go down here to the redirect. And of course, Ronaldo doesn't show up. I got to double click on this and start typing in Ronaldo. Okay, there it is. Is that it? Wednesdays with the Colonel. There we go. Almost put the wrong one up there. Yep, there we go. All right, so Ronaldo's got a really old photograph of me on there. He needs to update our photo. All right, so we're going to go there in a second. Thanks for being here. Be sure to check out my other video that I did this morning about Doo-Doo-Zilla, the Cockmeister. Anyway, not Cockmeister, cock as in poo. Anyway, telling Papa Charlie USA that Donald Trump in USA as donors. Oh, South Africa, RSA. Yep, Republic of South Africa. All right, well, the price of petroleum when I lived in Botswana in South Africa was less than 5 Rand in 2010. Less than 5 Rand. Now it's 23 Rand a liter. Oof. A lot of that's taxes. See you guys on Ronaldo in a few minutes. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support for the channel. Be sure to hit the like button. Tell people about it. Thanks for the super chats. Oh, I didn't get any. Thank you anyway. It's the thought that counts. Cheers, everybody.